piano in my kitchen because the acoustics were good in there. And I set up 30 years ago, 30 years ago, was the prayer I pray every day when I sit down at a keyboard and when I sit and pick up a guitar. God, if this is what you've called me to, then teach me how to worship you. I know that sounds so simple right now, 30 years in, but it's the key. God, I never want to think about this. I never want to get stuck singing and
you came here to. The beginning and the end is God. You cannot move away. It's not possible. Build on that. As the worst and best decisions you have. Because when God and Savior, there is no copying from the world. It will not work. Ask yourself, or you see people doing things, if you is doing, why am I doing this exactly? To get your away from that person. So it will never work. As Christians, build anything in the world, he said, so of the world that he came, son, will not perish life. He looked onto humanity with so much love, even while we were dead. He decided to come to save. And now that was a tough decision, because imagine living the glory of and coming down to earth where it's filled with sin, to come and save a man who does not even know the value of what they are doing, right? To this world, he understood his assignment. He was a carpenter, and sometimes we think that mistakes, and you choose the king in that environment to send Jesus to. Why would God send Jesus to? Right? For growth of the world. Carpenter, and he sees his dad, his earthly father, nailing on the. It reminds him of the assignment. It wasn't nothing. The fact that the carpenter divinely orchestrated. So whenever his dad would give him nail and he starts hammering on it, it reinforces the purpose of which he came to the world to do, to die for man. He continuously. I believe that sometimes I go back and say, God, are you sure I can do it? Are you sure I can pull? It was not just God at that time, he was also human. Right? And when it came time for him to die, he said, but nevertheless, because transform through the most in life breaking. If we were to ask the butterfly, what does it feel like? He would tell you it is better, because he is actually transformed. Actually has to die to the old self to become something new. To experience for us would have been a tough, when his humanity kicked in and he said, I wish this cup can pass over me, right? But he looked 20 years of process. He said, because it's never about our personal interest. You might think that, or the just you who wants it. God is 2:13. It's a very important favorite scripture. Let's get to it. Let's get to it once. To it. Good. God who works in us both to will and to do for his good pleasure. Sometimes you get an idea. I want to do it. I really want to be it. And then that works in us both to will and do for his good pleasure. Those desires you have you towards a direction. God that takes you towards transformation. In 2013, after I said, how to my 18th, and it drove me to the world of entrepreneurship. I didn't know at that time. I most recently of how I have jumped from business to career, 15 businesses, because I've been looking for me. So it drove me to the world of love building. Photo studio. I received my first salary and I said, God, is this what I will do? Question as I move to working with GT, Airtel, my own ushering company, different things. And in 30 years, how can I say, God, you are good? Because the capacity I have in all this moving around, in all this trying to, what am I doing? What am I about change? That is my constant to do. And for me to go there, for me to get to the point, to be able to transform lives and mindsets. So, face in your business or in what you are doing, life, business, have been called to do. It's not because God doesn't love you through process, experience, capacity. Imagine that you were invited to stand before them and you don't know, because there is no experience. It's not because it was the wrong time. So you are for now to continually behold for Him. Don't throw away your experiences and say, oh, I know to do this, but I just went this course. Coincidence. God is a perfect, is a mistake. Gather all the knowledge and all the experience that you can from that time or that phase in your life, whilst you to the next. Best at that, I realized, or I accepted that I'm a person, diverse, multi-potentialized, multi-passionate umbrella, but it doesn't work. Somebody will ask me tomorrow, I'll say, no, I'm a business person. Another time, somebody will say, friends introduced that there was something in the world very okay. Right? So in 2023, from Abuja, I had lost 100 trader. I met a breakthrough in my life. You know, I was always praying to God, God, I need money. I'm tired. I came with just vision. And maybe God would have been there and saying, if I give you that money, phase, I thought that I was right. That if the money came, I would know what to do. You know, about investing. I had read about it finally came. The came to my mind. And then suddenly, I looked, it was gone. Mind you, I didn't have where to stay. I didn't have where to live. I didn't have a car. I didn't even have a good phone. It was my, I wouldn't have bought finished. I now sat down. Not a wicked father. I will give you what you ask, but I will teach you in the process. You can it will just go to waste because you are not ready. Still living in of lack. Everything you can now. You don't know about management. You don't know about financial management. You don't know about. You're asking for $1 million, and I decided to give you to check if you're not. And then I told you, no matter what it takes me to get to the point where I'm empty, and I come to the point where I don't have what to eat. And that drove me to learn. I needed something to, please, when it's my time, something to give me money to take care of myself, my sister, and all the rest. So, Pastor Flourish Peters, he called me and said, what can you do? I said, I'm good with it. Or, yeah, that. And they said I should. So they are COO of a hospitality. I had no, aside from the fact that my mom owned the restaurant when I was younger. I began to see what it takes to hospitality firm in the industry. Exactly 3 years, God told me it is time. Taking me to a game. Why am I said, go and submit your resignation. My sister, I said, I don't understand what is going on. I said, well, let me just end the month. Get my salary end of the month. My mom came and gave me that she no longer wants to work with me. Want to work with me anymore. I said, okay, no problem. I'm not angry because I already knew. Why am I saying to somewhere? I'm not there yet. I don't know where it's because I might wake up tomorrow now and tell people I want to. But I've seen that I've worked through different industries. Looks like it might not be the same for what you are building. It might not be in different industries. It might be in sometimes you see yourself go from 0 to 100 and you're asking your good, but there is because when Jesus died, he saved the whole world a chance at a time striving long. And you age and you intentional, you have to take note of every single thing that God is taking, every single place that God is taking you to, and document them as you need them. So I have been able to convince. God didn't promise. So round of applause.
Speaker, I would say he needs introduction, but I would still introduce him. Our next speaker is no one else but Honor Tayo Akinshe. No, wait. Honorable father, an engineer, a husband, beautiful wife, with over 17 years of experience. He has a Labour Party aspirant for chairman of local government change. Commitment is to effective transformational change. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Honorable Taiwo.
I'm getting used to it. You know, you go to meetings, I mean, well, you guys give me lucky vibe. I think and thank you for sharing, very inspiring. I think more of the story. I think I'll be inviting you to. I'm more. I'm more right. Not appreciate what is going on in society. Because sometimes we are caged, right? So when you are in a setting, but it's that sometimes when they unlock the means that there's opportunity, and that's why it means that there's opportunity, and that's why I'm very quickly to introduce myself, talk about my story, my journey. I'm doing what I'm doing. How did you figure out life, right? So it was then in the Fela Truth, there was a season that there was an industry that thrived a lot in Nigeria, and that was the coaching industry, right? That industry, coaching and in industry, right? That industry, coaching, and I think it was a bit of farming that they had. Okay, 10 ways. It was, you read the book and they give you books like 100 businesses you can. Then 100 is really so because job that of no significance, right? Of no significance, right? Because the only industry that was thriving then, well, maybe like 4 banks. Content creation, you had. So I saw people were real snail. So I saw people were real snail. It was not really about solving it. It was not really about solving any problem. It was really about having fun. I don't know if you have any problem. It was really about having fun. I don't know if you have been there, but that was me, right? Please regulate me with time. So just please regulate me with time. So just tell me I have 5 minutes more, so I know how to. Tell me I have 5 minutes more, so I know how to skip and jump. And I think that I now realize that, that was not very empowering enough, because if that was not very empowering enough, because it felt more of what are you really changing? What are you really changing? What are you really moving? So it meant, okay, you know what? I now evolved from building pain. So it meant, okay, you know what? I now evolved from building product to building teams. So I was more about, I said, I have an e-commerce idea, but I want. Said, okay, you know what? So he's an idea bank like me, but he didn't know how to distribute. How can I help him? Anything, and I went into his business, and at that time I went to 5 universities. Didn't know anybody. Went to the rector. You go to a place and say, I want to see. You start. And I just, where's the VC's office? You have to see the person that mattered. So fast forward. I was married vision came when, like, protested and wanted a change in the country, but for me, it was a lot in, right? Just show appearance, society, everything I'm doing, everything that the society is broken and faulty, then our youth now, if this is that you don't see a minority, 1% wealthy people. You know, there's like Solomon. Now, the Bible says in the days of Solomon, go as the sand of the seashore. Solomon, nobody. You see in the Bible that, like, if recreate, Bible says chaos is because there is inequality in our societies. That how do we create justice? Right. So when there is a lack of justice, have what we call a really work, right? Because you are sorry, I'll do this very quickly. But you are trying to say, okay, how do we take from the rich society? But I think to create is a just society. And so now that tries to reward you based on your action. But the kind of justice God has brought to the world is called rest. It's a justice that God brings his righteousness and his way of doing things and his pattern of doing things, and creates a society of opportunities. We've called Nigeria deficient people. Custodian of the gospel have not been able to sort of move the gospel from speaking to real to and love. So yeah. So here's a love. To the trenches and you there you enter the political terrain. Right? And it's so deep rooted that before you be a politician, I think you should start thinking from that the woman. Whether we like it or not, the loveless society sort of got into how we even go. When and you ask a typical now, the moment I told myself, you know what happened? I have all the face the murky water of politics. Right? One of the things that begins to happen, there's a word of consciousness, and I begin to learn that people can say good morning effect to different people is as one good morning consciousness. If what is driving that consciousness, see that it will be more, I'm going to do roads. Someone who is saying I'm going to do roads, a place of you will find out that they to them, but they going to get money from you. Right? When I got in within my community, I had 11 words, message of love, and that's how. And so I needed to doing, and I needed. I hope I can hear. I needed to carve an idea around union. Will I say Amuodofin is going to America is already right? Talking about just creating a picture in people's head that you won't believe how powerful that can travel. The reason I did that was a society what Nigeria can be right, and I started by what I did immediately was to do, and that was very phenomenal. And so one of the things I realized in the campaign process, engaging the people, I want to see that everybody in the community began to see that real change really starts with deep engagement on how they exchange and a tool for making their lives really better. And also, beyond helping people, there's a part in the Bible that comes to terms with when the Bible says, I cannot. Things Pastor Toby, good intention in society. And so the love that and the advocacy, the action to take, begin to change minds of bottom up, right? People who are poor, who have been bedeviled by poverty, people who have they have life has been changed by the gospel. So you build businesses, you have ideas, at least you can, right? Or to be giving you say 250,000 before you say right, before you, and for those of to the guys in the trenches, the guys who are sons of God. So what am I saying in a nutshell? To begin to think around transformation. The thing I gospel and the gospel transforming you. The process of understanding love is really to build justice for everybody, so that I think the wealth and everything you're having is just really to feel like everybody can thrive. Thank you very much.
So now we're going to go into our last panel discussion between both our speakers and, of course, please clap hands.
Can you hear me now? Awesome. Real quick, concept of alchemy, thinking, how do we demystify whole thinking and the idea pattern?
An idea bank. For the people who, it is important that I let them know that they are not dollars. They have brains, and they also bring solutions to what I'm doing. His personal life, and we were created impact essence of why we were created. And if I don't foster a standalone, because you cannot build anything on your with your team members, you once twice with an idea and you block it up because it is not than use in the long run, or in the long run you would find yourself standing in the middle of a river alone, and we don't want that to happen. And we take it in as it comes.
That people from how they feel about things, and just creating that. Yes, because the thing about it, so it's sort of just starts staying as a seed, and your ideas, you should take it into the, how do you now that seed into the market, seed the market soil that sort of sometimes in the place of the market, but the fact that your idea takes a different thing shaped by things, in fact, the strata of soil. So the effort that tiny thing has to sort of, yeah, you have like, right, and I don't think like having to challenge the likes of deep. There's another Chinese one like a lot more quail, yeah, squam, you have grok, right, and now he's beginning to deal with all of that. Now that is he would have to shape his idea based on that. So one of the things, bottom line, is that get into market as quickly as possible. And one of the things that I also want to recommend that I'm going to learn is that be more audacious with the ideas. And I think sometimes this myth around startup and the startup myths, and whether we like it or not, to a greater sense, it sort of doesn't allow us to sort of stretch our ideas, and to a degree that we're taking on. I think for Africa, I think that one of the things that we need to foster is to create a mindset that Africa has fundamental statistics, problems that are clear from statistics, right? So for example, only 1% of Nigerians have insurance, right, are covered under insurance. Only 1% of the fashion value chain is happening in Nigeria. How do you move it to 2%? The death rate with babies, right? How do you begin to create? So bottom line is that one of the things we need to do is that I understand the idea of this tech story going around. I think that we need to sit back and begin to say, how do we foster an idea by making people recognize what the array of problem that exists, right? Because that's the power of media as well, right? Because the power of media so if you ask every young person, and that's, okay, let me just, give me 2 minutes, right? So back to the story where I was training people. I was training people, and guess what? We were attending. I didn't see Gen Zs. So out of 50 people in the class, only one Gen Z attended. I had more baby boomers. I had a man of inconvenient problem. If we can solve Nigeria's problem, we probably will be solving sub-Saharan Africa's problem, right? At a whole, at a stretch. And that is, I think, the next set of unicorn, people solving a Greek problem. The next set of unicorn will not necessarily be people doing like deep tech or deep. I personally think that it will be people solving real Nigerian Africa's problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Make sure you spread it, bounce it along or around your community real quick. Pastor Taiwo also said, make sure you get it out there, put it out the dirt. Still talking about the feedback, and make sure it has the statistics around what you're looking at, so that you come from an informed place. Now let's throw it out for the audience if there's anyone has any particular question around fostering ideas that could help you. No one? All right, let's move on. The next would be still on the ideas now. One of the things that you did say is make sure it's founded with statistics, but then it's still hard for someone to, even with statistics, how do you know you're onto gold? Like, so when you're sifting through your ideas, how do you know, okay, this is the one, so with that question, what will be the role for experimentation and failure when it comes to that? Start from me, then we'll go back.
I mean, like you said, I'm sure if you read my profile, you saw that I've done 5 startups. Like, I'm beginning to it's easy to, experiment. Not every idea is going to, some ideas are designed to grow you. And like she said, is that whatever it is that you do and didn't succeed, one of the things that you've done to yourself, the greater asset is not necessarily that the idea succeeded, is that you transformed. And it is the transformation, typically, think about it, it's transformation that you're entirely setting. You know, let's think about it. Now, Bill Gates is a speaker, right? Like, largely, that's pretty much, and Bill Gates, I was shocked. I said this tech person is talking about developing this seed that is the genetically GMO, right? How did he move from tech to GMO? It's because the process of even building, making those mistakes, really transform into another man that he can take complex world problems and begin to, because the transformation that you are going through. So personally, when you're experimenting and you are failing from experimentation, recognize that one of the things you are doing to yourself that is more important than the thing succeeding is that you are transforming, right? Even Jesus had to transform. Jesus was pivoting in the process, right? He made this, like I told you, he had to pivot from speaking the things of the kingdom. The Bible says Jesus came and was speaking, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That was the thing he said, but he soon realized that these people were not listening. And before he pivoted, he said, in hearing you cannot hear, in understanding you are void of hearing, but he ended up speaking in parables and telling stories, right? So my point is, learn the act of sort of, there are some ideas you stick to, right? And that's where the idea of mentorship and community comes in. And what that does is that you are able to sort of recognize maybe your blind spot. The ideas you stick to, and you sort of invest in till it births something. There are some ideas you sort of pivot. Recognizing the dimensions of those is something that you have to be in a community to help you recognize those patterns and see how you can navigate. Because there's no rule of the thumb, but just to tie everything up, is be happy to experiment, enjoy the journey when things don't work. When things work, understand that, how many of you know the law of diminishing returns? It's also equal to, people don't underestimate what it means, because it's also the same law of gravity, right? The law of diminishing returns, even if you have an exciting idea that is doing well, like the likes of Paystack and everything, you have to constantly transform to the degree that it is your transformation that actually leads to the pivot and takes you to the next level of growth. So I hope you can sort of piece and get the juice from a lot of the words that I've said. God will give you grace and wisdom.
Awesome.
To the degree that it is
Precious,
your
what's your
transformation
take?
that actually leads to
Okay,
the pivot
so
and takes you to the next
don't be angry. I'm a
level
church
of
girl.
growth.
I love God,
So
so I like to draw my inspiration.
I hope
from
you can
God,
sort of
right?
piece and get
And
the
I don't
juice
speak
from
generally,
a lot of
I
the
speak
words
to
that I've said.
believers,
And
because that is
God
where
will give you
my
grace
focus
and
is.
wisdom.
Awesome.
One of the reasons why
degree that it is
Precious,
some
what's your
startups
take?
don't perform so
Actually
well.
leads to
Okay,
the pivot
so
and
excuse me.
takes you to the
It's
next
because we're angry. I'm a
level
church
of
girl.
growth.
I love God, so
So
I like to draw my inspiration.
I hope
from
you can
God.
sort of
God is
piece
a
and get
creative,
the
and I don't
juice
speak
from
generally,
a lot of
I
the
speak
words
to
that I've said.
believers,
And
because God is a
God will give you grace
creative,
and
and that is why He was able to.
Awesome.
One of the
To
reasons
the degree that it is your
Precious,
transformation
what's your
that
take?
don't perform so
actually
well.
leads to
Okay,
the pivot
so
and takes you to the
it's
next
because we're angry.
level
Church
of
girl,
growth.
I love God,
So
so I like to draw my inspiration.
I hope you can sort of
God
piece
is a
and get
creative,
the
and I don't
juice
speak
from
generally,
a lot of
I
the
speak
words
to
that I've said.
believers,
And
because God is a
God will give you
creative,
grace
and that is why He was able to.
Awesome.
One of the
To
reasons
the degree that it is your
Precious,
transformation
what's your
that
take?
actually leads to
Okay,
the pivot
so
and takes you to the next
because we're angry,
level
church
of
girl,
growth.
I love God,
So
so I like to
that
draw
will
my
stand
inspiration.
out.
I hope you can sort of
God
piece
must have
and
to
get
go
the
back to the
juice
word
from a lot of the words that I've said.
God is a creative, and that is why He was able to.
Awesome.
To the degree that it is your
Precious, what's your take?
transformation that actually leads to
Okay,
the
so
pivot and takes you to the next
because we're angry,
level of
girl,
growth.
I love God, so I like to
that will
just
stand
jump
out.
I hope you can sort of
God
piece
must have
and
to
get
go back to
the
the
juice
word.
from a lot of the words that I've said.
God is a creative, what about that is why He was able to.
Awesome.
To the degree that it is your
Precious, what's your take?
Okay, so
takes you to the next
because we're angry,
level of
girl, I
growth.
love God, so I like to
that will stand out.
God is a soul. What about that?
Awesome. Precious.
Maybe not for okay. So sometimes you might have an idea that God is a soul. What about that?
Awesome. Precious.
Maybe not for okay. Some people already might have an idea that God is validating your awesome. Is this what God wants? Maybe not for okay. What is this soul? Is this soul somebody does it have that? Some people already might have an idea that God is validating your
Awesome.
Is this what God wants? Maybe not solution. Okay. What is this soul? Is this soul somebody does it have that? We do not feel already God validating your you is what we Nigeria solution. What is this soul? Is this soul somebody do something that Nigeria don't it dies and supports the guys. We do not sometimes really have God validating your you is what we Nigeria solution. What is this soul? If we don't see soul somebody do something that Nigeria don't it dies and supports the guys. We do not sometimes really have God validating your you is what we Nigeria solution. What is this soul? If we don't see soul somebody do something that Nigeria don't it dies and supports the guys. We do not sometimes really have God validating your
A round of applause, everyone. 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 A round of applause, everyone.
So I've not
Around
yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yeah, I have. Well, I'm trying to English in my head so that it's not one sentence. So I've not
Around
yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yeah, I have. Well, I'm trying to English in my head so that it's not one sentence. So I've not
Around
yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yeah, I have. Well, I'm trying to English in my head so that it's not one sentence. So I've not yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yeah, I have. Well, I'm trying to English in my head so that it's not one sentence. So I've not yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yeah, I have. Well, I'm trying to English in my head so that it's not one sentence. So I've not yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yeah, I have. Well, I'm trying to English in my head so that it's not one sentence. So I've not yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yeah, I have. Well, I'm trying to English in my head so that it's not one sentence. Yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well, yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have. Well,
Thank you so much.
yeah. The problem is the one sentence. Yes, I have.
Because you spoke about, Pastor, the lovelessness, right? The lack of love generally, and how, it sort of creeps into it. Thank you so much. It just made me realize how you might be trying to do something about my
Yeah. The problem is the one sentence.
What's that word now? Consecrated to grow, and those moments where you are stretched, you just have to put your head down and grow. But you also spoke about community, because married you two together. Community spoke about collaboration, with the lovelessness. In this loveless generally society, and how it sort of, how do you creep into it? Yes, God, thank you so much. Just experiences where God led me to speak to somebody, who led me to somebody, and led me to another person. But for anyone who is here right now, and maybe even when you are being led or not, How do you like trying to you are what's the word, not consecrated, or you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled, you know, just basically doing it from a place where you are secure. What's that been like for you? And if you have any those moments where you are stretched, you just have to put your head down and grow. But you also spoke about community, because married you together. Community spoke about collaboration with the loveless. This loveless
To the degree that even in church, we're not really like forming community enough, right? And it's a problem, right?
generally
People are able to
society,
share
how
about their
right,
business. I'm talking
sort of
about
how
like
do you
Christian
yes, God, thank you so much. Just the experiences where God led me to speak to somebody, who led me to somebody and led me to another person. But for anyone who is here right now, and
some people are able to sort of shout about it, but if I ask you what do you do, have you found people, like I've literally had to, like, you sell bags, like those, you know, I appreciate some people who are really doing some things in the community.
maybe even
One of the
when
things
you
I
are
would
being
say
led
to you
or
is the
not,
way-
how do you like trying to
is taken over by Chinese. And guess what? They came here 1 year ago. And do you know how they achieved that? Invasion.
you are what's the word, not consecrated, or you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going
And the way
to
they are-
get
they are
swindled,
together, like,
you know,
if they go to a
just
community-
basically doing
if they
it
go
from
to
a
a
place where you are
community, and this
secure.
is like,
What's that
Or
been
they
like
go to
for
a
you? And
community,
if
you
you have
see
any
them
those
having,
moments where you are
when they
stretched, you
take
just
over,
have to
like,
put
they
your
share
head down and
vision.
grow. But you also spoke about community, because married you together. Community spoke about collaboration with the loveless. This loveless.
To the degree that nothing that we're not even did. They came here 1 year ago. So and do you know how they achieved that? First is that invasion.
You are what's the word, not consecrated, or you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled, you know,
If they go to a
just basically doing it from a place where you are
and
secure.
this is like overhacking agenda.
What's that
Or
been
they
like
go
for
to
you?
a
And
community,
if you have
see
any
them
those
having,
moments where you are
when
stretched, you just have to put your head down and grow. But you also spoke about community, because married you together. Community spoke about collaboration with the loveless. This loveless.
to the degree that nothing that they imagine. But there's another look at even in get church. Take about they came here 1 year ago. Even with someone who has, and you know how they achieved that? Invasion.
You are what's the word, not consecrated, or you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled, you know,
If they go to a
just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
like overhacking agenda. I don't know if it makes sense.
If you have any those moments where you are stretched, you just have to put your head down and grow. But you also spoke about community, because married you together. Community spoke about collaboration with the loveless. This loveless.
Nothing that they imagine. There's another look at even in get trust. Take about came here 1 year ago. Even with someone who has, and you know how they achieved that? Invasion.
You are what's the word, not consecrated, or you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled, you know, just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
If you have any those moments where you are stretched, you just have to put your head down and grow. But you also spoke about community, because married you together. Community spoke about collaboration with the loveless. This loveless.
Nothing that they imagine. There's another look at even in get trust. Take about came here 1 year ago. Even with someone who has, and you know how they achieved that? Invasion.
You are what's the word, not consecrated, or you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled, you know, just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
If you have any those moments where you are stretched, you just have to put your head down and grow. But you also spoke about community, because married you together. Community spoke about collaboration with the loveless. This loveless. loveless.
Nothing that the imagination of people get to speak about came here 1 year ago. You know, they are
You are what the word now created, you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled. Just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Those moments where you are stretched, you just have to push your head down and go. But you also spoke about community, because married together. You spoke about collaboration, the loveless.
Nothing that the imagination of people get to speak about came here 1 year ago. You know, they are
You are what the word now created, you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled. Just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Those moments where you are stretched, you just have to push your head down. But you also spoke about community, because married together. You spoke about collaboration, the loveless.
There is no need killing yourself because from the beginning you knew already the risk you were going to take.
You are the word now created, you are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled. Just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Those moments where you are stretched, you just have to push your head down. But you also spoke about community, because married together. You spoke about collaboration, the loveless.
From the good person that you someone, there is no need killing yourself because from the beginning you knew already the risk you were going to take.
You are going to be taken advantage of, or you are going to get swindled. Just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Those moments where you are stretched, you just have to push your head down. But you also spoke about community, because married together. You spoke about collaboration, the loveless.
From the good person that you someone, there is no need killing yourself because from the beginning you knew already the risk you were going to take.
You are going to be taken advantage of.
Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
Just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Those moments where you are stretched, you just have to push your head down. But you also spoke about community, because married together. You spoke about collaboration, the loveless.
There is no need killing yourself because from the beginning you knew already the risk you were going to take.
You are
Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Those moments where you are stretched, you just have to push your head down. But you also spoke about community, because married together. You spoke about collaboration, the loveless.
There is no need killing yourself because from the beginning you knew already the risk you were going to take.
Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
Just basically doing it from a place where you are secure.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Those moments where you are stretched, you just have to push your head down. But you also spoke about community, because married together. You spoke about collaboration, the loveless.
Killing yourself because from the beginning you knew already the risk you were going to take.
Business is never working out. Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
We see it as a very
I don't know if it makes sense.
Those moments where you are stretched, you just have to push your head down. But you
also spoke about was married when we spoke about loveless.
From the beginning, new
Business is never working out. Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
We see it as a very
I don't think it goes both ways. When it comes to marriage, we also spoke about was married when we spoke about loveless.
from the beginning, new
Business is never working out. Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
we see it as a very
I don't think it goes both ways. When it comes to marriage, we also spoke about was married when we spoke about loveless.
So that you analyze the reason
from the beginning, new
Business is never working out. Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
we see it as a very
I don't think it goes both ways. When it comes to marriage, we also spoke about was married when we spoke about loveless.
so that you analyze the reason
from the beginning, new
Business is never working out. Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
we see it as a very
I don't think it goes both ways. When it comes to marriage, we also spoke about was married when we spoke about loveless.
so that you analyze the reason
from the beginning, new
Business is never working out. Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
we see it as a very
I don't think it goes both ways. When it comes to marriage, we also spoke about was married when we spoke about loveless.
so that you analyze the reason
from the beginning,
Business is never working out. Can you give both our speakers a round of applause?
we see it as a very
I don't think it goes both ways. When it comes to marriage, we also spoke about was married when we spoke about loveless.
so that you analyze the reason
from the beginning,
Business is never working out.
Thank you so much. Again, we are driving Alchemy, and we do things like this every fourth Thursday of the month. So every fourth Thursday, we do Creative Tribe with a different theme. So the theme of this second edition is, or was, Alchemy. If you did not catch it, Alchemy, transformation, growth, and now it looks like there's suffering or perseverance in there somewhere. So, yeah, that's. Anyways, so now we're going to take our offerings. If you have cash, please, Mojoin is just waving our offering thing around. Envelopes, Please indicate if you want one and she'll come to you. Thank you, thank you. If you also want to transfer, please ask Bernard. Here's our account number. Bernard, raise your hand. If you want to transfer. Oh, it's on the envelope as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving. You know, it goes into community invasion and all of that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, while that is going on, we have a conference coming up. It's called... Yes, please shout. Please clap, clap, clap. We have a conference coming up, and in the usual tribe way, it's very unconventional. It's for innovators, creatives, healers, people who, you know, want to learn about suffering a bit or not. So please come, make it a date. It's on the 22nd of March, and it's at 4 Points by Sheraton, 4 Points Sheraton. And please come. It's a full day of learning, unlearning, relearning, everything that has to do with learning. You will do it that day. Please make it a date. Please remember, please come along with a friend. It's free. It's very, very free. It's called Rewire Fest. Please come. Thank you. Also, lastly, before we go, we are on all social media platforms, and we have a website. So we're on Instagram as The Tribe Nation. We're also on YouTube. You can rewatch this program on YouTube, you know, just to hear Precious's voice or Pastor Taiwo's voice again. Oh, my voice. I have a lovely voice. So you can watch us on YouTube. I said Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're not on Twitter, but we're on TikTok. Yes, we're on TikTok. So with that, we have come to the end of this service. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to us. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you on Sunday. Bye. Network with people, mingle, connect. Chooks is a risk manager and a farmer. Connect with somebody.